Hello, everyone. Welcome to DU Wednesday webinars. I'm Sharon Bond with Parent and Family Engagement. Today, we are presenting Community Expectations. Your presentation today will be from Christine McCaslin of Student Rights and Responsibilities, Don Enlow of Campus Safety, and Ayla Engelhardt of Student Outreach and Support. The presentation is going to be about 20 to 25 minutes. Then we'll use the rest of our time together to answer your questions. There's a little Q&A feature on your screen, usually sitting down at the bottom right, that you can use when it's time for questions. The webinar is being recorded and it's going to be posted on our website, which is go.du.edu/parents. And a link to the recording is also going to be emailed to everybody, so you can take a look at it later if you'd like. When it's time for questions, use that Q&A feature as I mentioned before. What you type isn't going to be viewed by everyone participating on the webinar, so what we'll do is read your question aloud and then provide the answer to you. So with that, let's get started with Christine McCaslin from Student Rights and Responsibilities.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Christine McCaslin from Student Rights and Responsibilities, and I wanted to share a little bit about our department. Now, we take a really holistic approach to student development and helping our students when they make mistakes, and they're going to, and we understand that, and we want to support them in learning and growing from those incidents. So our approach is designed in order to help students who've made perhaps a decision they shouldn't, such as underage drinking, and help them learn and grow from that experience. We use different approaches that include proactive education. We do seminars and programs throughout campus for our students. We address alleged violations of our honor code and policies in a fair and equitable manner. We uphold the rights of all of our students involved in the process. Your students' rights are very important to us, and that's why we do everything we can to make sure they're aware of them. We can do continuous assessment of our work so that we can improve and meet the needs of our students. And we collaborate with campus partners such as Student Outreach and Support and Campus Safety, who are with us today, community organization, and of course you parents as well. We really want to engage with you and encourage you to reach out to us so that we can work together to help your student. We offer educational and restorative processes and offer educational outcomes and workshops and case resolution options for your student. And we're hoping to encourage the development of their self-awareness, their social engagement, and a sense of purpose while they're here at University of Denver. We've included our website at the bottom of the slide, and we encourage you to look at all the resources we have there as well. We have high expectations for our students because we know they can reach them. We expect them to respect themselves and others, the university, and the surrounding community. Colorado, and especially Denver, is an exciting place to live with lots of opportunities for our students, and we want them to go out and be good citizens while they're engaging in all the different opportunities. We want them to appreciate that everyone has different backgrounds and experiences, and to really respect one another and listen and gain an appreciation for having that diverse experience that will help them become global leaders as they leave DU. We want them to maintain high standards for their personal and academic integrity, to understand the impact their behavior has on themselves, others, the university, and the community around them. When they engage in behaviors that are unacceptable or in violation of our honor code, they do impact other people as well. And then we want them to seek opportunities to repair that harm, to restore trust, acknowledge their impact, and move forward positively so they can be outstanding students. So, what can your student do before they come to the University of Denver so that they are completely prepared to join our campus community? They need to complete the Discoveries online module in Canvas prior to orientation. This information will be sent to them, and they are going to need to make sure that they complete it. We also encourage them to review the entire honor code. The 2019-2020 honor code will be published on our website on August 1st. If they're going to be living in housing and residential living, they also should review the policies of their residence hall before they move into it. If they are going to be living perhaps at home, but have friends who are going to be living in the residence halls, they're also going to be responsible for those policies. And so we encourage them to read up on those as well. If they have any questions as they're reviewing this or they're just looking through the online module, we encourage them to reach out to us and not to hesitate. We're excited and happy to help them before they come to campus. And finally, we encourage them to review any policies for student organizations, academic departments, or if they're part of the athletics teams that they may be participating in, as they have their own expectations, and we will also hold them accountable for those. The top policy violations that we experience here at the University of Denver include academic integrity. It's really important to note that as a doctoral granting institution, the University of Denver takes the responsibility for having an honest and responsible commitment to their academic work is important. Plagiarism, cheating, double submissions, those are things that are violations of our academic integrity policies, and we will hold students accountable for them. The University of Denver follows all Colorado and federal laws as it applies to alcohol. So if your student is under the age of 21, they may not consume alcohol. And if they're over the age of 21, we expect them to not provide alcohol for someone underage. We do practice shared responsibility, and so if students are in a room where others are violating the alcohol policy, we expect them to remove themselves from those situations. Per FERPA, we can notify parents and may notify parents if their student violates the alcohol policy. Now, Colorado, as many of you may be aware, is a state that does allow for the use of marijuana in small amounts for personal use. However, as an institution that receives federal funds, we must follow federal laws. Therefore, marijuana, including medical marijuana, is prohibited on campus. And parents may be notified that their students have violated this policy. So if you have a student who is prescribed medical marijuana or may choose to use marijuana while they're in Colorado, they need to understand it can't happen at the University of Denver. And lastly, fake IDs. We prohibit the purchase, possession, use, etc. of fake IDs. Please know that the University of Denver takes this very seriously, and after a second confiscated fake ID, we will refer them to the Denver Police Department for further tickets. Now, it seems like we've talked a lot about what we expect from our students and what we will hold them accountable for, but we're also committed to their well-being. It's not about always punishing, as some students might refer it to it, but it's also about making sure that they're healthy and that they're being cared for. We do have a medical amnesty policy here at the University of Denver. It is our intent that our students who might have excessive use of alcohol or drug use seek the medical help that they need and get the assistance that they need from campus staff. So therefore, any student or a person helping them who reaches out to get help for excessive alcohol consumption or drug use will not be considered in violation of the honor code. They may be referred for an educational outcome or evaluation, but we will not seek a status outcome such as probation or suspension. So it's really important for students to understand that their health and well-being is far more important to us. The process for SRR can sometimes be overwhelming to students. So we want to make sure that they understand that it's completely designed to give them an opportunity to tell their story, to really engage with us, and it's not to intimidate. So what happens is an incident report is submitted to SRR. Our staff reviews that report and then it determines if there's a policy violation that may have occurred. If so, we'll send a notification to the involved student regarding the time and process and their rights and responsibilities. We'll hold a case resolution meeting with them, and this is a great opportunity for the student to talk about what happened, share their perspective, and take or deny responsibility for what occurred at that moment. Students can also bring an advisor with them. So if they want to have a parent or a lawyer or a friend who is not a witness to the situation attend with them, they are more than welcome to do so as well. After consideration of all information, a determination of whether they're responsible or not is made, and an outcome letter is sent to the student. We assign statuses and educational outcomes. A status outcome are written reprimand, probation, deferred suspension, suspension, and expulsion. These are not necessarily, these are about levels of assigned status. They are not steps. So a student in their first incident may be put on probation. And of course, students have the right to appeal. There are many things that you can do to help empower and prepare your student to come on to DU. Encourage them to complete their checklist earlier rather than later. Discuss those options with your student. Share expectations for decision-making regarding alcohol and drug use. Have an open discussion about living on campus. Express your support for them. And talk about FERPA and whether or not they would like a release. If your student's in the process, make sure to encourage them to review the information, ask questions, and support them. Everyone makes mistakes, and it's important for us to grow together. With this, I'm excited to turn it over to Don Enlow from Campus Safety.
Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Enlow. I'm the Director of Campus Safety here at the University of Denver. And I wanted to share some safety information with everyone tonight in general about the campus and the neighborhoods. And our most common crime on campus by far is unattended or unsecured property theft. That's typically someone will leave their bike unlocked or improperly secured, or they will go into the library or a study room and put down their backpack to study and go grab a cup of coffee or go to the restroom and come back and it's gone. That is 80% of our thefts. And as you can see from this graph, we have a lot of thefts. That's our biggest issue. So if we can lock up our stuff, we can help reduce our primary crime on campus. The campus is also very safe compared to the neighborhood around us. DU is located in a very safe part of Denver, but within the campus boundaries, we're even more safe and have less crime than we do in the neighborhood. So being on campus is a good place to be. It's a very safe place. We don't have a lot of issues on campus at all with crime. One thing I would encourage you to talk to your students about and make sure that they are signed up for is the DU alert system. This is a notification system that we use to notify our community whenever there's an emergency on campus. It can range from a weather emergency, a tornado warning, or a blizzard warning when we would close the school, all the way up to a fire or an active shooter type of situation. They can do this through several means, but they can go to our campus safety webpage, and there's a button on the right-hand side that takes them directly to the sign-up page. It allows them to receive both a phone call, text message, and an email that will tell them what the incident is and give them more specific instructions as to how to respond and how to protect themselves. What we suggest for parents is that you follow either DU or DU Campus Safety on social media, either through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of our emergency messages are pushed out to those social media platforms simultaneously to the alerts going out through the notification system. So in reality, a lot of people will get notified over Twitter as quickly or faster than they would through our notification system. So that's the way we encourage parents and other people to stay informed about what's going on without being enrolled in our system, which has some limitations as to who and how we can enroll people into our notification system. When it comes to safety on campus, we do offer walking escorts to anyone from any location on campus to any other location on campus. This happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They need to call our main dispatch line, which is advertised all over campus, and we usually respond within about 5 minutes. We are also in the process over the next academic year of replacing all of our blue light emergency phones. If you spent much time on a campus or a hospital campus or most any large public area, you'll see these blue towers with blue lights on them and the emergency phones. We're upgrading our system now to everything will be solar powered and wireless communication. So it's actually a more stable platform than what we have. These are also a system that students can request an escort through if they're out and about and they don't have their cell phone, or if they can't remember the number to call. they can use one of these towers to contact us and request an escort. Several of these towers are going to be fitted with outdoor PA systems, so that if an emergency notification is sent out through our system that I spoke about earlier, it will be broadcast over these outdoor speaker systems, so that anyone on campus, or if they're busy in some activity playing volleyball or frisbee or whatever, and they don't have their phone with them, they will still receive the information on the emergency while they're in the outdoor areas on campus. So that's a huge improvement for us and an upgrade that we're really excited to be implementing this. It's going to take us this next year to get it all implemented, but we will be there by next spring. Excuse me. Something Kristen talked about was alcohol and marijuana on campus. We have far more alcohol issues on campus than we do anything else. That's really one of our main reasons for transports. What we have seen, though, is a combination of alcohol and marijuana that is causing kids to be highly intoxicated, more so than they probably thought they would be, just because when they start to mix the two, it gets to be more than they expected. So one of the things I would like to reinforce with you as parents, to talk with your children about, your students, is that marijuana in Colorado is legal, as we've talked about, and it's coming in edible forms that you really can't tell it's marijuana or it's a cannabis product. So some examples here: the gummy bears, and then the lollipops and the cookies and the brownies and all of those things, they are readily available in the Denver area. Sometimes you go to a party, you go to a friend's place, you see a bag of gummy bears sitting on the counter, you grab a handful of them, and suddenly you have an extremely high dose of cannabis in your system. That's purely accidental, but it does happen. So I really encourage you to speak with your students about paying attention to what they're consuming, where they're getting it from, and exactly what's in it, so that we don't have some of these medical emergencies that Kristen talked about with the medical amnesty clause. But then here we send around 80 to 85 people a year to hospitals or detox because of over-intoxication. And we really encourage people to get the help they need to avoid a more serious outcome than simply a hospital trip. But it is something that we do see on a regular basis. So please take the time to have a conversation with your students about it. And now we'll hear from Student Outreach and Support.
All right. I'm Ayla Engelhart. I'm the Associate Director of Student Outreach and Support. So this is just the cornerstones of our office, which are self-awareness, advocacy, creating resilience through coping skills, and navigating transition. I won't read through each individual box on the screen here, but they just kind of talk about general ways that we're sort of navigating our work and trying to create the most supportive environment for students here at DU. So the process for student outreach and support and how we kind of work with students is that we manage the Pioneers Care online referral system, which activates the SOS case management process. So one thing about our office is we do non-clinical case management. So anytime students are in distress or struggling, we like to support them to try to provide the earliest possible intervention before things sort of escalate to a more significant problem or issue. And that's all done through that online referral system. We distribute the red folder on campus, which is the DU Emergency Guide and Behavioral Indicators. It is published on our website, which the link will be coming up here soon. We also distribute that to staff and faculty all over campus as well. We run the medical leave of absence and reentry process. So it would be great, of course, if we could press pause for the 4-ish years that students are here, but every now and again, medical things do come up. So the medical leave of absence process is essentially a process for students to apply to have that medical leave, and they're able to do the reentry process to come back if they're experiencing a physical or mental health issue. We also run the student bereavement policy. So if there are unexpected deaths in the family, there is a policy that requires faculty to give student a certain amount of time to go home for services, and that there is a difference between in and out of state. This is all on our website, but we will actually send out a notification as long as there's documentation to let faculty know that that is what the student is dealing with, and therefore need to abide by the policy that DU has in place. We run the Resource Assistance Empowerment Process, or we call it RAE. So anytime students are struggling with maybe finding assistance for things like food access, or maybe they are not sure what the best resource is to deal with an issue that's coming up for them, or they're struggling with other financial types of issues, we will actually help them with that. We help students apply for different kinds of benefits if they need it, and we will also help them just navigate the different resources on campus, such as the food pantry, and we run a Swipe for Hunger process, which gives students meals if they need it. And so even if your student might not need it, it's good for them to know in case they are talking with other students who might be in need of those services. They're things that we can kind of readily help students navigate. We run the Student Assistance Fund, which is when students find themselves to have an unanticipated event come up. So sometimes it might be the flooding of a basement apartment or something like that, and there's certain damages that occur. We might be able to help with some of those, and all the information for each of these is on our website. And then there's also the Lilly Family Undergraduate Student Engagement Grant, which allows us to help students who are trying to be involved in certain engagement activities on campus only for undergraduate students. We can kind of help with the financial burden of some of those as well. There is an application process for that too. So this is on the screen here is our referral submission decision tree. So sometimes what will happen is there are things that come up and people are like, do I call student outreach and support, campus safety, 911? If it's an emergency, it should always be 911 or campus safety. So as you can see on this chart here, if something is life-threatening to the student themselves or someone they're with, it should always go through 911 or campus safety. If it's not an imminent concern, but there is something makes you feel uneasy about a situation, or that there's sort of a shift in their baseline behavior and you think that they need someone to check in with them, that's when you would want to go to the carereport.du.edu and fill out the Pioneers Care Reporting System, which will soon be called the SOS Reporting System, or Student Outreach and Support Reporting System. The same link though. And that's what lets us know that we need to get the case to a case manager, and they will reach out within 24 to 48 hours. And well, they'll respond to you within that time. They'll reach out the next day to the student. Submit a report when you feel there is a serious issue or concern with a student within the DU community. You can let your student know that you're submitting a referral. I think this is often really helpful and does help our response rate, but you also don't have to if you want to be anonymous. Outreach, like it says, will be made by a case manager within 24 to 48 hours. It's typically closer to that 24-hour range. And a reminder, because this is a really important one for us to drive home, this is not a substitute for emergency services. For life-threatening situations, you want to call 911 and campus safety. So we are not on call 24 hours either. So if you submit something overnight, we won't see it till that next day. We are here for typical business hours. So another big thing that comes up is recognizing the signs of stress or distress for students. As we know, college is a big change in transition, and stress is going to happen. So how will you know if your student should seek out additional support? This is sort of things we see a lot. So coping with a family tragedy or death, experiencing a significant health or emotional issue, excessive alcohol or drug use, social withdrawal, decline in academic or work performance, trouble sleeping, change in eating habits, and change in hygiene. Some of these are signs that that stress is having a larger impact on the student, or that they might, like I said, their baseline behavior might be shifting a little bit, and that might be cause for us to try to intervene pretty early on. So signs that your student is experiencing an emergency. So if there are threats of suicide or self-harm, threats of violence to others, disorientation or confusion. So again, especially, anytime those things are going on, we definitely want to know. But if some of these things have never been, like the disorientation or confusion, if that seems really out of the blue, we would definitely want to know that that's not typical behavior for them. And this is going to probably be on every slide, but again, we are not an emergency service. This shows you the typical path of what happens when someone makes a Pioneers Care referral. So you make the referral, it goes to to our office, usually me, the Associate Director of Student Outreach and Support. I review that, and then I assign it to a case manager. They respond to the reporting party, so you would get an email from them letting them know that they would be the case manager and that they would be your point of contact. Again, if there's not a FERPA release, sometimes there's a limited amount we can share, but we will at least let you know who is working on the case. We outreach to the student. We send them typically an email letter. The student completes our holistic intake assessment if they decide to meet with us. The case manager helps determine the appropriate resources. The action plan is created, and then we follow up and reassess the student's progress and needs, and the case is closed. So a lot of what we do is making sure students get to the right place, and we are oftentimes willing to walk them to those resources or call right there with them, with us in the office. When in doubt, fill it out as it says. Pioneers Care online referral form, and that's the link again. That's our contact information, student outreach and support. If you look up SOSDU or student outreach and support, our general website will come up as well. There's a lot of good resources on there regarding lots of different policies on campus, as well as just different on-campus and community-based resources. That's our general phone number and then our care email. And usually with the care email, someone will respond in about 24 hours.
Okay, how about if we go ahead and take some questions from you? Use that Q&A feature on your screen and go ahead and type in your questions and we'll review those. We'll just give it a minute to give everyone time to think about their questions. Okay, the first question is, would you mind to post the campus safety phone number again? And yes, we will do that, and I'll also type in the answer for you. What's the direct line, Don?
It's 303-871-2334. And the next question is, how can you request a safe walk escort, and is it available after hours? That same phone number, 303-871-2334, is the phone number, and it is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, next question is, are the slides available to download? Yes, the slides will be available to you on the parent and family website, and I will also email that to everybody and put it on the Facebook group.
The question is, will the escorts go past campus by a couple of blocks? We will go a couple of blocks off campus. It really depends on what the situation is. We're limited though, but we do have sorority houses and other properties that are a block or so off of our obvious campus boundaries. So we will we'll walk people within reason to their house or to their car. So yes, we will go a couple blocks.
All right. There don't seem to be any other questions coming in, which means we're doing our jobs well. That's great. If you do have other questions come up, you can always send them to the email address parents@du.edu. And since we have no further questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar. Next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, we're going to present the topic of sustainability and transportation. Information on how to join the webinar is going to be posted to Facebook, on our website, and also emailed to everybody, along with the link for the recording of today's webinar so that you can access it anytime. And we still don't have any questions in, so we're going to definitely wrap it up, everybody. Thanks very much, and we hope you're able to join us next time on DU Wednesday webinars. Have a great evening, everybody.